It's a CEOP, Mr. Rock the Mic News, Mr. Pick of the Week, 103 Jams, 9 o'clock Sundays, iHeart on your radio and your computers. Right now I got on the phone, this past Sunday, you heard an incredible record by the name of Jezebel. I got on the phone an artist that put together an incredible EP. He's done a lot of the body of work that the artist that I have on the phone right now, period, is just incredible. If you've been following, if you're not, get in tune with the one and the only Laron Bishop. Bishop, what's good with you, man?
Yeah, I'm chilling, homie. How you living?
Everything's wonderful, man. This is a long time coming. We have so much to address, man. We have a lot to talk about, man. There's a lot that goes on in your life, man, in your career. I'm sure that it's a lot that people want to know about. So we just gonna dive into it, man. First and foremost, let's just talk about the EP For the Love, man. Let's stay there. Let's talk about what inspired you to create such a body of work, and then because to be 100%, and as a Laron Bishop fan myself, this was totally different than anything you've ever done. You know what I'm saying? So this was definitely a bold move on your part, knowing your fans are, attached to a certain way you're doing music, or, some people like aggressive Laron Bishop, you know what I mean? Some people like Laron Bishop zoning out on life, and some people just like Laron Bishop smacking up MCs with his lyrics, you know what I'm saying? So what inspired this For the Love project, bro?
It was more about, the position I was in life and the things that I was going through. And, just using the things that I always use, which is my real life situations to inspire my music and motivate creating good music about whatever it is.
Now through the creative process of For the Love, because it was very personal, what was the toughest record to create and why?
I would have to say my love song, which was my actual single, and it wasn't actually to create. It was more tough releasing it, and that was because it was the exact position that I was in life with, a relationship that I was in for, 6 years.
Now, the creating of the actual video, my love song, first of all, who is the, I guess your love interest in the video? She's definitely some wonderful eye candy. And then what inspired that whole concept?
Well, that's Sierra Prestige. I had worked with her before in my Zone video for my first solo album. And it was more of the right fit for the vibe that I was going for the visual. So, I hit her up, and she was definitely feeling the record, and she was down to do it.
And what inspired the whole, you outside in one scene, she was beefing with you in another scene?
Well, it was more of the everyday things that I was going through to lead up to the point that was, actual driving the song or whatever. Between the breaking up and the moving out and who's going to stay where and all of the fights and the fussing and the good times and the bad times was basically what the video was broadcasting.
Now, rumor has it that there is going to be a sequel For the Love. Is there any truth to that?
It's definitely possible. It's records that's been worked on before, that's been in the cut for the Love that didn't make the first one, and plus it's new records that's being worked on right now. So, it's possible, but it's up in the air on exactly when or if it'll drop.
And personally, man, you know, we're gonna get a little bit personal with you, man. You know, for the love touched on a lot of subjects and how you feel. So, I mean, for our lady listeners, man, what is your feeling on love in general? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is your perception of, you know, the average relationship right now going on? Like, how do you approach love? How you feel about it? Has the experience that you went through on this record, you know what I'm saying? You have definitely given your life to us on the record, on the whole album, for that matter. What's your outlook on love right now, man?
Well, I mean, you know, I don't want to be the guy that, you know, bashes people that is, you know, in love or feel the whole love vibe in their relationship right now, but it's not my thing right now to be searching for love or be in love. I'm more of loving myself and feeling myself right now.
All right, let's go to that to a specific record. Let's go to Jezebel. How did that come about? And where I mean, did you originally knew that you wanted Irony and D on it, or was that something that just, you know, was inspired? Were y'all just cooling out one day and the record just came about, or did y'all ever, you know, sit down and have a conversation about your experiences and then go into the creative? Like, how was that whole creative environment created?
Well, actually, I was sitting on the beat for a while, and the homie M3 had came through the studio one night, and he heard it, and the vibe just built from that, and the hook was knocked out after the whole hook concept for each verse was knocked out. After he did that, he did a verse, and from there I just, you know, filled in my verse, and then, you know, invited Irony and Diggy to be on the record from their experience of being in that situation.
All right, let's take it back for people that don't, you know what I'm saying, know, like, because, you know, I'm sure you're aware, man, like, you know, the digital, I feel like Laron Bishop, the artist, came in the digital era. So, you know, I don't know if everybody, you know, that's digital is aware of, you know, Bishop, RMG, Raps My Grind, you know what I'm saying, the whole movement before you went solo. So let's start from the beginning. What actually, you know, inspired you to start rapping and actually build that crew and actually, you know, come to these different stages and be so competitive?
Actually watching my childhood friend Irony rap. He was rapping in high school or whatever, and I was his hype man, and just watching him grow as an artist, you know, through childhood, it inspired me to want to dabble into it a little bit, and from there it just became, you know, me being around my everyday homeboys and us rapping, and it became a collective, and they looked for me to you know, put ideas together and you know, get us in position. So it just always drove me, the motivation of them, you know, looking for me to call that call or, you know, coach the situation. It's just driven me to keep going with the music.
As a well, before I go there, let's stay in that early era, man. You were probably, and I don't feel like you get a lot of credit for this. You know, I'm gonna go on the line and just give you a little bit of credit. You see what I'm saying? You're probably one of the few artists, especially back in the Rock the Mic era, that was from Virginia Beach and actually traveled. You see what I'm saying? You know, and when I mean travel, to everybody listening, I'm talking about he did shows outside of his city and he did shows out of town. Now, that does not say that no other Virginia Beach artist unsigned has did that, but, you know, we come from a time, you know, where Virginia Beach wasn't cool. You see what I'm saying? And I'm sure you can relate. Like, I know, you know, maybe 899, you know, I didn't even know a Virginia Beach person. A lot of people were kind of, you know, treading that Norfolk line. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I'm from Norfolk, you know what I'm saying, right here on the line, or they might be from the lakes and they close. Like, touch on basically the timeline on where Virginia Beach hip-hop has really grown, because I think it's really grown, you know what I'm saying, to the point where people are actually proud of where they're from, and just touch on the early days of, you know what I'm saying, actually being one of the few artists from your city out there basically just waving the flag by yourself.
Well, I mean, as a collective, the city has definitely grown, and I just tried to, you know, stay relevant in that whole situation and being a part of, you know, the city situation. And it really, back in the days before I actually started, you know, taking on my brand and trying to get my brand out there, it was really more of the Dow Gotcha from Virginia Beach that was, you know, putting on for the city. And once I seen what he was doing and the routes he was taking, it let me know where the competition stood and where at least I needed to be at to be relevant in the city. And that's just what I work for, you know, within the city and outside of the city, just to build my name and my brand up for the city.
Now let's talk about a lot of people aren't aware that you did some promotion as a promoter and through shows in your lifetime. Touch on, you know, way back then with the Goals with a Show, because you were one of the few people, you know what I'm saying, that actually reached out to people. Because, you know what, for the listeners, and I don't want to sound too old, and Bishop is not old. You know what I'm saying? Let's be clear. He's not old, you know what I'm saying? But when we take these times back, he understands, you know, when I talk about, when I say this used to be and how it is now, because, you know, Bishop, you know, we know it was a time where you know, it wasn't necessarily the safest thing to do to travel from one side of the world to the other. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you didn't know anybody. You see what I'm saying? And, you know, you were bold enough in the early years to reach out to people from the other side of the water. When we say that, we're talking about Newport News, Hampton. We're here in the DMV area, Hampton Roads to be specific. And then you would bring them over here, you know, R.I.P. to the Peppermint, back when we had the Peppermint on the Strip, and you would put all those people in the building together. What inspired such a, you know, bold move, and what was your thinking back then? Because you were barely 21, I believe. Like you had just hit the club scene, and you were throwing shows. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think I was 19 then, and
wow.
When I had met Abyss, I think I met Abyss first, and Abyss had really inspired me just as being a female and being a dope MC, and, you know, her resume as far as music and her reputation throughout the 757, and it really made me follow her and follow where she was going, and that led me to meeting, you know, Double XL and all of that, and also Junipers. They were from, you know, my side of the water, and I seen the things that they were doing as, you know, being known as people that's really hip-hop and known in this area for music. So those were the situations that put me in the position to want to go to the other side and do more stuff and reach out and want to be known for what I was doing, because I knew what I had wasn't, you know, what those other guys were trying to do from my side.
Now, what inspired you to actually put your crew together? You know what I'm saying? Like, what inspired? Because, and then I keep going back to this era. I'm just call it the golden era of the V right now. You know what I mean? So we can distinguish what we're talking about. And in golden years, man, what inspired you to, you know what I'm saying, you know, build your crew? Like, okay, because let me explain to everybody listening what I'm talking about. We're talking hip-hop right now. Laron Bishop, which he used to just be Bishop back then, RMG, it just wasn't a crew. What he was doing was you were actually working your artists. Like, certain people had crews where, you know, it was one guy mainly rapping. You see what I'm saying? We ain't going to use no names to plug anybody, but one guy was rapping, you know what I'm saying? And then he had a crew with him and they rapped, but it wasn't, you know what I'm saying, such and such is going, like I've seen, you know, back in that Golden Rock the Mic era where you came to the club and, you introduced somebody, you did a record with them, and then, like, another night, you would just sit in the back and support them. You would turn into the hype man. Like, what inspired that type of thinking early back then? Because I think a lot of people had crews, but what you were doing is you were actually building a label. I think there's a difference between a crew and a label, and even though these were your crew members, you were building a label. What inspired that type of thought process, man?
It was more like when I was growing up in high school, we of course listened to, you know, Rockefeller and State Property and people like that, and
right.
the Young Guns, and hearing them on the radio and all of that. It was, even though everybody was wild and crazy and freestyling everywhere and talking about a whole bunch of crazy stuff, they had some organization to what they were doing, and everybody was dope. So when it came to me, you know what I'm saying, being around my friends, I knew which of my friends just rapped to rap, and I knew which of them had room to grow and be dope. And it was just me trying to, you know, push them and be doper and keep growing with me. And from there, it just became me seeing, you know, certain potential in certain people, and knowing I could fill that void in that situation, you know, to be great in their career, at least, you know, as great as I could help them be.